Alrighty, I am here, Bailey Day, here with Nick Crabtree and Kenny Boldman, and we are interviewing Bill Andronis at Bill Andronis' house around 1 o'clock. Okay.
Well, you want me to say that?
Just how old you are again, or when you were born, and when you moved to Lucasville. Just that very first part there.
So, how old are you?
I'll be 91 September.
91 in September. All right.
And I was born in Williamson, West Virginia back in 1928.
And when did you move here?
We moved down here when I was about 2 years old.
2 years old. All right.
About 4 years, and then we moved into Lucasville.
Moved into Lucasville. And then you moved to Ironton?
And then I moved to Ironton, and Ironton back to Coonholler.
Yeah. So what made you come back here?
After just wanted to come home.
Just wanted to come home. I love it.
I'll sing the song.
This is Bill Andronis. He's going to play us a song.
But Rosemary, one of her favorite songs. When she get mad at me, I'd always sing this song to her. I'll hold you in my heart till I can hold you in my arms like you've never been held before. I'll think of you each day, and then I'll dream the night away till you are in my arms once more. The stars up in the sky know the reason why that I feel so blue when I'm away from you. I'll hold you in my heart till I can hold you in my arms. So darling, please wait for me.
Awesome.
That was her favorite song. Hello? Nobody. Want some water or pop or anything?
You're doing all
not
pop.
me.
You're good. Okay.
I've got the pop in there and the water too. You want any of you want any? Yeah, I'm not a very good host or anything.
No,
You're doing great.
But anyway, that's just some of the things that we see. And then one thing, over there we didn't stay like they did the Second World War till it was over with. We rotated out. We'd have replacement come in, and you'd get to go home. Well, I was getting to go home, and they'd sent me back to battalion headquarters. Got off, and was down in a great big bunker. It's a big one, where they battalion headquarters. We was down this, but you had to drop down in and go back in there. And somebody hollered, "Is Andronis down there?" And I said, there's a bunch of us in there. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm down." He said, "Somebody here wants to see you." And he said he's coming down. The guy dropped down and had captain bars on his shirt. Well, I hollered, "Attention, dog." It's a big play area there in that big bunker. And he said, "That evening," he come over and sat down. I didn't know who he was first. He said, "You remember me?" And I says, I thought he was my company commander in basic training, Captain Phillips. He was from down in Kentucky, and he come in there to see me. He said he heard about me, heard my name up there, and remembered me in basic training. The reason he remembered, you guys don't remember an old boy, Corky McCarg. He was a basketball player for Valley, and boy, he was a good one, And Corky told me, he says, when you go down to Fort Knox, said, if you run into Captain Phillips, tell him you know him. He said, "Come in, Captain Phillips are good buddies," he said. But when you start your basic training, and I went up to his office, went in to talk to him, and he started talking to me. That was in basic training. And I mentioned Corky McCarg, but he never just passed that right. It didn't mean a thing to him then. Because there are no favorites when you go through basic training, buddy. Nobody makes you no favorite. But there he started talking to me, and he was just coming over, getting ready to do a tour of duty over there. He said, "Yes," said, "I'm coming over to take over an outfit over here." That's so. Well, when you're in the service, you don't know where you're going to go. You could have a good job here, and then the next thing you know, you're over there. But they're no respecter of persons in the Army. They just put you where they need you, no matter who you are or what. But I had a lot of good experiences, and I wouldn't want to do it again, but I would have had to, you know. I kid them boys down at the Legion all the time. I asked them if they're ready to go back. Then when I come home, that's when it started, you know, met Rosemary. Well, I knew her when she just a little girl, see, because I knew her family. I knew the family, her brothers, and Bob, he was me and him same age. Of course, they're all passed away. And, oh, Reggie, I don't remember Reggie's sister. Reggie's the only one of that immediate family.
What was her maiden name?
Sisler.
Sisler?
Yeah. She had a sister named Betty. I can't think sometimes. Mm-hmm. And she married a Rudity boy there in Portsmouth. His dad was the Rudity she married. His dad was chief of police in Portsmouth, and John, it was her husband. He was on the fire department till he retired from the fire department. They're all gone. Because we're all getting older, you know. We don't stay here forever, but we're looking forward. Yeah. I don't know if you all Christians or not. Are y'all Christians? Mm-hmm. But you know what I'm talking about, that, don't you? Like I heard an old song one time. It's singing, says, "Don't put away your fork. The best is yet to come." But it's just like people that you know at one time. Yeah. Old B.R. Lakin. Did you ever hear of him? B.R. Lakin. He's an old preacher. He used to be on the radio years ago. And Cato's Tabernacle used to be the name of it. You ever hear of Cato's Tabernacle? They'd come on and singing, the old lady would. And I got a tape in there of his preaching, and it says, that's where I got that, what I said a while ago. Somebody said, "Brother Lincoln, heard you lost your wife." He said, "No." He said, "I didn't lose her." I said, "I know her," she said. It's a good feeling when you think, you know, nobody really knows. You can't judge nobody because you don't know who's saved and who's not. Only you know whether you personally are or not. It's the only one you really know for sure. And because there's a lot of fakes out there, ain't they? In everything.
So did you grow up going to the same church?
Huh?
Did you grow up going to the same church? Like, growing up, did you always go?
I didn't go to church when I was growing up.
No?
The first time, there, you know, the old United, that's the Center Street Church now, where you go to church there now. Yeah. Now, when we lived there in Lucasville, we moved into Lucasville, Mom started sending us out there to church, Sunday school. She didn't go, but she'd send us kids, you know. And I was down there one night, they was having revival. This was when I was in high school. They was having revival, and I went to this revival, you know. And when they gave the invitation, you know, how you know, talk about this girl come over, one of the high school girls, she come over and embarrassed me all to pieces, grabbed me with the arm and wanted me to go to the altar, you know. Well, I wasn't under conviction or nothing. I didn't know anything about it. And I never did go back to church anymore after that until I was in the service. And when I was in basic training, I went one time when I was there. When I was in Korea, I only went one time, but, you know, we talked about it once in a while, some of us would, you know. But I never got saved till I was 30 years old. Well, I remember when I went home at night, I got saved. Rosemary didn't go with me to church. I went down there, and I went home, and her and Bob, her brother Bob, and his wife, we all lived in Ironton then. I went in the house, boy, I was happy, you know, and I told them, so I got saved tonight. They all just looked at each other. I knew they didn't know what I was talking about. And I'll tell you one of the things that, not that I'm criticizing anybody about anything, but one of the things that gave me the assurance that really something happened in my life was I used to smoke real bad. Oh, I'm telling you, I had a habit so bad. I'd try to quit. I could not quit. One day one day, I said how bad I had it. One day I quit all day. Never had to smoke a cigarette all day. Me and Rosemary, I got in bed that night and went to bed, and I had that habit so bad I couldn't stand it no more. I got out of bed, went out and got my truck, bread truck I had, got to start hunting them cigarette butts out of the ashtrays, smoking them, And I could. But that night I got saved to come out of the church and start up 5th Street there in Arlington. I was driving right by the courthouse, and the old habit reached over here to get them cigarettes. I reached over and pulled out that pack of cigarettes. I told him that's when I said, Lord, if you really save me tonight, I said, take these away from me, because I can't quit them, I've done this myself, and never smoked a cigarette or drank a beer since, or any kind of, from that night till, that's back in a long time ago, 60-some years, over 60 years ago. And I never had wanted to smoke or anything after that. But that really, I had it bad. I don't know if you guys ever smoked or anything. Boy, that's a bad habit, don't it? Once it hooks you, I'm telling you, you can't hardly.
Let's see. What do you think we should talk about next? Do you have anything we should go on to?
What about your job? Where you worked?
Huh?
Where you
worked?
Yeah.
When I got out of school, when I first got my job, the old Vulcan Last, it's not there in Portsmouth, where they made wood heels for shoes, Portsmouth, they was all kind of shoe factories. You could get a job pretty easy when you got out of school. Didn't make much money. I started out 37 cents an hour. And I worked there till I went in the service. And when I went in the service, I come back and I went back to work there again and got a pretty good job as a shipping clerk there. And then my brother-in-law, D. Mays, he was driving a bread truck, Wholesome bread truck, and he wanted me to get into that. And I said, well, I didn't want something like that. I didn't like to be around people that much, backward sort of. Finally, he talked me, and they had one for sale. You bought the way you did back then. You bought your truck and the route and everything. See, so he taught me, and I took it. And boy, after I took it, I was sorry there for a while, And then when I got to learning it, getting to meet people and got to liking it, I done real good at it. That was one of the best jobs I ever had. And but then as this big supermarket started opening up, it made it harder on we served the smaller stores. Then they got in some of the bigger supermarkets, but it got rough, and because we owned our own trucks, well, it got so bad, we called them bobtailers then. You couldn't afford to fight these here companies, so the companies bought our business, bought the business back. And then I worked for these companies. Started off with Wholesome. They bought it back. I remember they bought my truck and everything back. And then Betsy Ross bought Wholesome out. And then Flowers Bakery out of Georgia down there, where Flowers is all over the country. They bought Betsy Ross out. Well, that's where I retired from Flowers.
Did you deliver to stores?
Yeah.
In Lucasville area too?
Yeah.
What all stores were in
I
Lucasville?
got Games, Kistlers, all of them. One time I had a route out here.
Yeah.
My first route I had was in Arlington. That's why we moved to Arlington. Me and Rosemary, we got married. We moved to Arlington. I had that route up. And when I first started in the bread business, on a bread truck, and owned my own truck and everything, made more money than I ever made in my life. Because really done, but like I said, until we really was doing. I bought a brand new truck, a '56 truck, for a bread truck, and a car both. Same year, bought a new car, and a new truck was paying for me. I didn't buy it. I didn't have the money to get it, but you make enough. I could do stuff like that. But boy, whenever they started going down, it went down fast. Yeah. But it was still a good job. I done pretty all right at it. That's what I retired from. 37 years I done it.
Wow. That's great.
I worked at the old Vulcan 7 years and 37 years for the bread company. I've been retired 20-something, almost 30 years. And see, I retired when I was 62. I'm 91, so almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is your favorite memory, like of Lucasville? Like if you
Lucasville?
Like, what's one thing you liked about Lucasville?
What I liked was school, because of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I love to play basketball. You know, I don't want to.
Go ahead.
I'd like to turn that off out of it.
Do whatever.
But I don't like to brag or nothing. But one time, he did. Eugene McKenzie was the head coach there at Valley, and I was a sophomore. And then when he was coach, and I got on the basketball team, bench warmer, Jim Young. Y'all remember James Young?
Mm-hmm.
Me and James Young, we was warming the bench. You know, James was he was a junior. And I was a sophomore, and we was a bench warmer. Went over to West Portsmouth to play over there basketball, and they were just beating us. This reserve team, he was beating us so bad. I got to go in the game. Me and Jim both. I got to go in the game, and I must have impressed Eugene McKenzie a little bit, because the next game we played Clay at home, and I got to start on the reserve. And then it wasn't a few games more, and I got to dress for the varsity. And then we got to played Green one time down there about in the afternoon, a game in the afternoon. And we was getting beat. They was just a skunk. They had a real team. Green did that year. They just beating us so bad. I got to go in. I got to start that game, and we only scored 13 points the whole game.
Oh, my.
And I had 7 of them. And then from then on, I was a starter on the varsity when I was a sophomore. And, of course, I went, and then junior year, we done real good. Gene was our coach. But the senior year, when we was really looking forward to it, because we had about the same team back, why, he had to go to service. And Reynold Warren, you remember Reynold Warren? He's had one ear off, old Reynold Warren did. But he was the nicest guy. He's a good athlete and everything. He was an old man. He kind of limped, but he took over the coaching. Couldn't have had a better guy, I'm telling you. But he was such a good coach. I had a friend. I ain't going to name who he was, but he wasn't a bad basketball player. But I talked to Coach into getting him on the team. He didn't get on the varsity, but he got on the reserve. But anyway, some of the old guys, Chan Moulton, I don't know if you guys remember some of them older fellas, they're all gone now. But they told me, said that Eugene McKenzie told them, said one time, said that I was the best basketball player he had ever coached of all the coaches.
Really?
He didn't tell me that, but he told them that. Huh. And he coached a championship at the Valley one year. He was coaching when they won the county tournament. Bill Purdy and Corky McCarr, I was talking about a while ago, and Ralph Eric. Do you know Ralph? Oh, Ralph was a good basketball player. You remember Ralph, don't you?
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, his boys got that.
Yeah, Ralph.
But he was they had a good team, and they won the county tournament, and then. But I'll tell you, I had a basketball. Nobody knows how I loved it, basketball. Down where I lived, had an old garage. Didn't have no real basketball to play with. I just had an old rubber ball. I'd get out there, no basket or nothing. Just pick me out a spot on the rim somewhere on a bar or something to try to hit that. When I got after I got out of high school, I would have graduated. They used to have a what it's called. You know, the adults played. Had teams. I know Malone's Dairy had a team. Pearl Brisker had a team. There's several all around.
Yeah.
Raymond Preston, remember old Raymond?
Mm-hmm.
Old Raymond, he was quite a bit older, but I got to play with them. Him, Glenn Schuler, and Raymond Preston, a bunch of them guys on the.
What team were you on? What was it?
I was on Malone's Dairy for a while, and I was on Brisker's All Stars, and this where they need a player or something, you know.
Yeah.
I remember going out in Jackson playing with them guys. They just out of high school, you know. It made you feel kind of small, but hey, I like this. Well, I could play with anybody. Well, here's what I always had. If you got something like that, I had it in my heart, but I had to beat them. That's all it was. Didn't always, you know, but I always felt like I could, you know. A whole lot of us, what comes out of there, buddy, I'll tell you. I couldn't stand anybody beat me at it. Although you got beat a lot. Old Gene Bennett. You know Gene Bennett? Just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Gene I played against him.
Did you?
He played for Wheelersburg. And them 2 years, my junior and senior year, they never lost a game. Nobody could beat them. I was down there one night when last time Gene, when they had that thing down there, that church, you know. Him and Al Oliver were sitting over there, and I walked over. I had to go over to say something to Gene. I walked up to him. I said, I'm going to tell you something. You don't even know who I am or anything. But I said, I played basketball against you. I said, who'd you play with? He said. I said, Valley. He said, what's your name? I told him, he went like he really remembered me, you know. I don't know if he really did or not, but he said, I remember you, he said. But yeah, I played against him quite a bit there. Boy, he was a good basketball player too. But they had a team, I'm telling you. Basketball was a big thing in Lucasville. It didn't have nothing but baseball and basketball all we had, you know.
When did football start, do you know?
I don't remember just when it did start. I can't remember. It was a good bit after I got out of school, you know.
60s.
But now it's probably about the biggest sport out there now, ain't it? I don't know if it is or.
Probably, I would say. Let's see.
I got a grandson that likes to play though. Andrew, yeah.
Andrew, yeah.
He plays. He missed basketball this past year, but he said next year he's going to go out for basketball again.
Good.
He said he wished he'd went last time, but he didn't. He didn't want to start in later. But I remember when Andrew when he was just a baby, we were just a little feller. We had a couch sit right here, and Rosemary sat over here, and she had taken football or something, throw it there, and he'd run, catch it, and fall on the couch, you know, and she got there. She was really played a lot with him, you know, just him and her, you know, like that. Got him interested in sports, and now he really likes it all.
Yeah.
How do you view Lucasville now versus like what it used to be?
How Lucasville's what it used to be. Completely different town.
How so? What's changed?
Well, the streets, about everything has changed, and of course the schools, you know, and everything is like that's changed. But I don't know how to explain it other than just the looks, you know. I'd say that would be the biggest thing that's changed, the looks of it. Everybody's a good bunch of people. You got them all. Lucasville still got them all. Hey, what we used to always say, well, Lucasville, if you want them, go for Lucasville. They got them all. Any kind of people you want to meet.
Now, has the fair always been in Lucasville?
Yep, fairs ever since I can remember. I remember when I was just a boy, we used to come. It used to be we'd come over to Wagon, and Granddaddy would, you know, and they'd park over there, stay all day, and they'd fix lunch and everything there. You know, they didn't have a lot of these restaurant stuff then. Everybody bringing stuff to eat. And back then it was horse racing and stuff like that. They used to have what kind of carriage were them? Carriage races. I don't know what you call them now.
Sulky races?
Sulky races. I haven't seen them for so long. I forgot. So that used to be a big thing here at the fair. Yes, sir. Animals, farm equipment stuff. They used to still have some of that, but that was a big thing because most fairgoers was farmers. You know, about everybody was had something to do with farms in around here. You know.
Do you remember the automobile dealerships in Lucasville?
Yep.
They sold new cars.
Yep, Moulton sold Fords there.
Moulton?
I remember out there behind that building, still there.
Jeff
I remember having Model T Fords out there. I mean, $5 and $10. I think brand new cars, sold for around $500-$600. I'm telling you, it's just how
it's in the Moulton
inflation has went up. You know, everything.
Yeah.
But Moulton's was and then there wasn't Glockner's. It was had a Chevrolet dealership there, where the post office is right now. That used to be a Chevrolet dealership right there. And then there's I don't remember too many used car lots, other than the Ford up there where they sold new Fords. I can remember that real well.
They had Fords up on the second floor.
Up on the second, yeah. They had a ramp from back drove up in there. And Moulton's Bob Moulton, their family, they right behind that there. Of course, the house is going there on the corner where what's that big building?
Yeah, I know what
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Donnie Martin.
Can't think of his name. Air conditioning, everything.
Donnie Martin.
Yeah, Donnie Martin. Moulton's lived right there on that corner there, and then the car lot was right there where the alley went through. And, gosh, and Doc Hilling, he was right there on the corner where there's
Doc who?
Doc Hilling.
Hilling?
Doc Hilling. Huh. Doc Coleman, he's the old house there. Jim Young used to live there over the cemetery. It's the house still there. Then was the two doctors there in Lucasville there when I remember then. You know, Hilling and Coleman. Huh. I could tell you some tales about Coleman and some things we done, but couldn't put them on tape.
Oh, okay. What about the other businesses? What else was in Lucasville at that time?
Well, they had a lot of filling stations. Glenn Schuler and the Schuler boys, they had a filling station on the corner where it's empty right now, you know, across from McKinley's there. Yeah. But they had a filling station. That was one of the local places there. And they delivered ice, too. I used to go on an ice truck with them sometimes delivering ice, and they'd around McDermott place, people used ice then, you know. Had ice boxes. They didn't have refrigerators. Had ice boxes, and they put a big chunk of ice up the top of it there. Oh, things changed a lot. And then they used down there Flagers, right across from Game Flagers. You remember Flagers? There's got a car place there now. And then see, come back in, restaurant there where the Wendy's is. It was right there. And Brand Store was on the other corner there. And then there was a Texaco station up there toward the other end of Lucasville. And they had the old pumps where they, like empty pump, fill it up with gas. That's where you get your gas. It come down out there. Black big glass come down and showed how much gas was there. And then old Chester Gibbons had right across from Branch Store there, right there on the corner where the parking lot there now. Yeah. And then the Masonic building was set right across on the other corner over there. And then we had 3 funeral homes there at one time: McKinley and Tracy and Rockwell. 3 funeral homes at one time there in Lucasville. And then they had right across from where Kensler's was, you know, where that vacant lot there now, right across from McKinley. Is up there. They had an old motel, not motel, a big hotel like there.
Oh, really?
You remember? Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, it's all full of rooms. A big old building there, had got all kind of rooms in it. Kearns lived in a part of it, this apartment like down. We used to get them empty room and play in them. Yeah.
What's there now? Where the hotel was?
It's the bank, right there where the bank is.
Yes.
Across from Speedway, right in the middle of town?
Bank, yeah, right there where the bank is right now is where the old hotel's set, right in that area right there.
The bank next to Speedway?
Yeah. Well, Speedway's on Rockwell's funeral home was over there where Speedway is, on that corner there. Okay. And then, of course, had Lycan's had a store there. And it's a lot, and then there's another little filling station right between the Lycan store and where Joe Carroll used to live. There ain't nothing there now. This ourselves just changed much. In my mind, I can picture it. It's hard to describe it.
Which Rockwell had the funeral home?
Jim Rockwell's brother.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, his brother, Jim Rockwell.
Huh. What was his name?
I'm trying to think.
Was it Joe Bill, was it?
No, Joe Bill was McKinley.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think his name was Joe. Might have been Joe Rockwell. I know. They might have called him Joe Bill Rockwell. I don't know. But Joe Bill McKinley's, when I hear Joe Bill, I always think Joe Bill McKinley. He used to kid about Joe Bill, said, "Oh, Joe, when he shake hands with you, he'd feel your pulse." They said one day, they was at a visitation in his funeral home, said that somebody come in and said, shaking hands, said, and the guy was looking kind of bad. An older fellow, you know, he says, "You should go home." They just make jokes about old Joe Bill, you know. Yeah. He's a good old guy, old Joe Bill. He taught school too. He's a school teacher.
Where did the post office used to be?
Huh?
Where was the post office?
Post office used to be on that other, you know where the, let me think now how to describe it. Well, you know right there where that empty lot is, from beside of McKenzie, she turned down that street, right? Post office on that next corner right out there toward the railroad. Okay. It was right there. Where that alley comes out there and then the street goes on around there by the railroad. Post office is right there. That's where the old post office was.
How long was the drive-in movie theater there? You know what I'm talking about?
I was trying to think when it come in there. It was, golly, I can't remember just what year it was. It was after I was out of school. I know it was after '46 sometime, probably early '50s maybe. Mm-hmm. But it was a big thing when it first came in. Yeah. Trying to think of some other things. Then they used to have a trolley diner, they called it, right there on the corner. Where the flower shop is now, that flower shop used to have a restaurant there. It was a trolley, one of the old trolleys that used to run on the rails in town, you know, had it there and had a restaurant in that. A trolley diner, they called it. And then old Shine Morris built a filling station there, which the building's still there. And they had a restaurant in the back of that.
Shine Morris started that?
Oh, Shine started that, built that filling. Well, he's a good old guy. Ornery as he could be, I'll tell you, but I liked old Shine. Originally got the name Shine, he always had a car, no matter what, but he kept that thing a shining all the time. He really liked cars, you know, old Shine did. That's how he got that nickname.
What was it like when the A plant was coming in and all the workers were here to build the A plant? Did that make a big difference in Lucasville?
It made a really big difference in Lucasville. Traffic and all, it is when that A plant started out there. Mm-hmm. That's probably might have been one of the biggest changes to this area that ever happened around here.
How did the community react when the prison, the Southern Ohio, big prison, yeah, correctional facility, when it was built in? How did the community react to that?
What's that?
How did Lucasville react when they wanted to build the prison up here? Was there any opposition?
Well, I never heard much opposition about it. Yeah. Really, it was talk. You know, you always have people, some that want and some that don't, but they wasn't too much. For one thing, it was going to bring some jobs to Lucasville, and it put Lucasville on the map too.
Yeah. That's what we're known for.
Oh, I remember years before Lucasville ever had a traffic light.
What do you think about the recent changes in Lucasville? Do you think it looks like it's doing well now, or getting better, or?
I can't see much change in it, really.
Okay.
But one thing I like about the American Legion, I belong to it. My dad belonged to the American Legion in the back 30s when they first started. He joined the American. He was in the Legion in West Virginia when he was up there, but then he come down here and he joined the Legion here in Lucasville. And then my brother, when he came out of the Second World War, Dad paid his first Legion dues, and he was in the Legion. And then my brother Jim talked me into joining the Legion. I joined the Legion. Now Mark, I got Mark in the Legion. 5 of us. You seen that picture, didn't you? Four of us, not 5 of us. There's my dad right there. That's my brother Jim. That's me, and that's Mark.
Wow.
And we all belong to the Legion down here at Lucasville. If y'all need any pictures like that, I can get them for you. Tammy makes them for me.
Oh, does she?
Well, her daughter does.
Yeah.
Just let down there everywhere.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about? Is there anything that we missed?
Golly, I don't know. Sometimes you can sit around and just think of so much stuff, and then
I don't really know. Is there anything else, guys?
We covered basketball. We covered the war, businesses.
I know before they put this new road in, where you go down there to the underpass there, over to the west side. Boy, every time it rained, a cloud come up. Lucasville get cut off from over there because they go down to the bottom, down Soda Street, they call it, I would go over the road down in there, and that used to flood a lot down there, but it don't. That whole bottoms used to all flood an awful lot. One time, as a fella standing down there, and the water was up, and I ain't gonna name no names because but this guy standing there and he's talking about. Used to have people down there in the bottoms. They had cows, horses, and all kind of animals in Lucasville there. And this guy said, "Oh my," I said, "look yonder, poor old Tater Hose Ranch there, all covered with water." That's the way he talked, His son, he's the one that said, he said, of course, the water was, he called it his branch. Because he had some cattle and horses. There's a lot of things, funny things like that you mentioned about around Lucasville. There used to be an old guy, I got to tell you this about old Marvin Clark. I don't know if anybody's ever mentioned Marvin Clark. Well, this place down there, it was called something about it. His name was why. Anyway, old Marvin, he was a big cut. Just go fishing with him a lot. He was an older man, but he'd get out on the street, come up there in Lucasville, get out on the street and holler. This is loud, and man, he could holler loud too. Just nothing, just holler, And then somebody said, "There's old Marvin." You can hear him all over Lucasville almost holler at Marvin Clark.
That was called the Clark Edition.
Clark Edition.
It was,
right there in Lucasville.
Was that because of him or his father?
It might have been his father. I don't know. He was the only Clark I knew, And then they had some gas wells right down there close to the Little Italy Street down there. He had some of them. They burned a lot. There's gas there because some of them, at the time, they just burned there. That old Marvin Clark, because George Channel, old George and Marvin, and then Don and Bill Channel. Well, did you know the Channel boy used to come there to church from over at Rubyville? Don was his dad, Don Channel, and Don and Bill was two of my best friends. I used to go fishing with them, their dad and Marvin Clark and them two boys, and they'd let me go with them, the family.
Allen Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Don was his dad. They had the transmission shop over there.
Yeah.
And Don started out after he got out of school. We graduated together. Don, he worked there at Chevrolet Garage there in Lucasville, and he took training, went to school for transmission, and opened his transmission shop over there. You get to talking, I can remember a lot of things.
Yeah.
even though my memory ain't very good, but what happened but I can remember way back a lot better than I can what happened yesterday.
Yeah. Is there anything else you can think of?
Oh, there was some characters. There's George Martin. You ever hear George? You know where Games has got that road goes down in off the 23. Right about in that area, right there, George had an old house lived, but it was on stilts. George Martin. And Newt Martin was his brother. They was smarter as the old guys was. But old George, he lived there himself, and he just was like a hermit, like he just hardly associate with nobody or anything. But old Newt, he was army. He'd set up there at Kroger's. Well, you remember, everybody talks about Kroger's store used to be there in Lucasville. See, Kroger's used to have Coy Dodds had a hamburger inn. Trying to pinpoint this, about where was that? Where the Coy Dodds had a hamburger Kroger store, and then the alley went through there. And old Newt sat out there. I was getting back to telling the story. Newt would sit there with his cane. Women walked by. Our old man.
Oh my gosh.
Him and his wife, she lived in the big house, and he lived in the corn crib. I don't know what the story was, but he lived in a place, and he just got an ornery old man. Oh my! Used to be a place there where they loaded equipment on the train. Where the trains come off and they'd load equipment and stuff on it. And we used to play on that all the time. It was just a wooden ramp, big old wooden ramp's what it was. This wasn't a whole lot to do. You made your own fun, but we had a good time, And we'll go see them Tarzan shows. We go back up on the haystack, back up what they call the old fernery. It's back up where the state garage is in that now. That was just all woods then. And play Tarzan. We go up there and find grapevines and swing on and play Tarzan. That's kind of boyhood life, you kids. Try to mock or imitate whatever you've seen on the movies.
Well, unless you have something else to talk about, I don't think we have any more things to
Okay,
ask
that's
if you're okay with that.
I got a few people in there maybe you hadn't heard about. But
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got a lot of good stories, Bill.
yeah.
Thank you so much. for
Well,
doing
thank
this
you
with
all.
us.
I hope I helped you out
Well, you
on this.
did. We appreciate you taking
Yeah.
some time to talk with us.